Welcome back to another edition of Smart Driving Cars. I'm Fred Fishkin, along with the Faculty Chair of Autonomous Vehicle Engineering at Princeton University, Alain Kornhauser. Hi, Alain.
Hey, good morning, Fred, and welcome to the second half of the year. Although I guess second half doesn't really start until like tomorrow or something like that. But
It's a new
at
month.
least month-wise, it's the second half.
Right. And a new Smart Driving Car newsletter. And on top from
Yes.
Teslarati, Tesla silences FSD critics by posting full video of Model Y delivering itself to a consumer.
Well, I mean, I guess, everybody's going to say, oh, well, yes, that is a very biased site that has a headline that is actually positive. I mean, my goodness, what's going on? The sky must be falling that there's actually a positive headline about Tesla. But yes, I invite the readers to read it and say the comment that I make in there is that at least for Tesla, they did this for a business reason to try to, I guess, keep the cost of owning a Tesla as low as possible, practical. And so they're removing part of the costs associated with um, uh, someone acquiring a Tesla. And that's the reason why it was being done driverlessly. I think. Now, whether or not Tesla decides to pocket the difference or pass it on to the consumer is a whole other question. But at least you can't pass it on to the consumer or you have any hope of passing it on to the consumer unless you remove the costs in the first place. So at least this is there's a uh, I'll say solid. There is a solid, or there is a business reason why they're doing this. They're not just doing this for, hey, look, mom, no hands, or let's do the amusement, or let's see if we can get some clicks out of this thing. Um, they did it for that because otherwise they would have needed to have two people involved in that delivery process. One person driving or overseeing FSD on the way on getting the car to the person, and then that person has to get home. So I guess he or she could have called an Uber, or they have to send somebody from the factory, wherever it came from, to then drive out there, a second vehicle, to then get them home. So, in fact, if you look at A to B and you call that one trip, this not only saved Tesla some money because one person instead of two people being involved, but it also saves society some capacity in the roadway because otherwise it's one, two, and three trips involved. One to get the vehicle there, and then one to get the vehicle to come pick up the person and then get him back. So actually, they could maybe even get some capacity credits and some environmental credits and some energy saving credits. Yeah, of course, I'm just pointing it out, but this is at least for it has some business reason of being done without a driver, as opposed to just, oh my goodness, look at what I can do. Ooh.
But there is that aspect that they were able to do this. Who else could at this stage?
Yeah, and they were able to do it safely. Okay, it did it safely. So I guess at least for that trip. Now, is the next one going to be safe? Well, you know, the future's the future. If I could forecast the future, I'd be very rich.
And
And I'm
and
not. Look at me. I mean, whatever.
and there are
So
those waiting to pounce if things don't go as planned, as demonstrated in the last week or so, right? So, for
yeah, and
instance,
we'll talk about that, I'm sure, because that's what the rest of the smart driving car
right,
e-letter is all about.
you were contacted by Reuters for a story that wound up being headlined Tesla's robotaxi peppered with driving mistakes in Texas tests. You provided them with a pretty detailed analysis, it looked.
Well, I was sent a bunch of videos and asked to comment on them, and you know, I did. I gave them my opinion, and of course, they're my opinion. Um, I think it's a learned opinion, but that's up to the the beholder to determine whether it's learned or not. And they chose what they chose, and so I just wanted to, since I guess I also have at least a small megaphone, I figured I'd let the folks know, you know, what my comments on the others, since they chose to use only one of my comments as opposed to all of them. Hey, whatever. I mean, I don't deserve to have all mine used. But I guess the way they used the one comment, I guess, was sort of okay. Although I do make a comment in smart driving cars. If I was really defensive, I might look at it in another way. But maybe whatever, I misinterpreted it.
But for our audience, what you've seen in the videos, what's your interpretation of how Tesla has been doing?
As a lot of other people have said, we're not done. We aren't done with a lot of things. I don't think we're done with anything, actually. Everything can be improved. Is there anything that we think that we've created in such great way that it is perfect? I think, perfection is only attainable in the limit. And I don't believe anything is perfect. There's no, like to say, at least I tell my students, there's really no probability zero, although some things might get awfully close. And there's no probability one, and I can't even think of very much anything that comes close to that except death.
But you've
And
also
we
had
don't even know what the heck happens after that sucker. So I mean, it's the amount of
you've had a
knowledge.
different interpretation, Alan, of some of the incidents that have been magnified by
Well, I don't know if it's different. I have my interpretation, and I guess I just I just decided that for good or for bad, I'd let folks know what my interpretations. Some of these are there's some improvements, as we've noted before, as you've noted, Fred, in your use of FSD. Our while we don't know any of the details, but it seems as if Tesla does have a digital map database somewhere buried in the whole process. And in places, one could suggest that maybe if they really do, they should look at how some of that is coded, because it may not be coded all that well. And from your own experience in terms of it performing well at the Jackson exit of I-195 in New Jersey, it does not perform that well. And so, therefore, that may be due to it not being coded properly. In Princeton, the intersection of Witherspoon Street and Wiggins or Paul Robeson Place, actually in that direction, I don't think it's coded well in terms of what is the turn lane versus the go forward lane in at that intersection. And so because of that, sometimes it really senses the environment and ends up being able to see the turn arrow on the pavement and realize, okay, and code it that way, and then therefore go into the correct lane. But if there's a car waiting to turn on that turn arrow, when it's not visible, there are no other signs there. And so I would imagine if one put a camera at that intersection, one would see confusion to human drivers as to which lane should they be in, and if they wish to go straight, simply because it's not the amount of information that's available out there for either LiDAR or image data is insufficient to know which lane it is. So in those places, it needs to be corrected. If it's not corrected, then my view of these things is that okay, one doesn't operate using that intersection in that direction. Now, does that mean that there will be, some trips that maybe aren't quite as efficient, quite as fast, in as short as time, because they take a slightly more circuitous way to get to where they're going? In some sense, so what? At least you're getting the benefit of if or you're trying to reap whatever benefit the automation might be trying to provide you. And I guess it's been sort of a constant on at least this channel that uh, this automation may in fact be valuable, provide some societally valuable good, and we should try to reap some of that value while it's sitting there basically on the table. We might not be able to get it all. It might not be able to do it everywhere. They'll never be able to do it everywhere at all times, the full 365.25 days. Jesus wasn't able to do it in Los Angeles during the fire. Well, of course not. Okay. None of these things can do it, 365.25, 24/7. No. And having that as the aspiration for these things, I think is just silly, or it's a shame. When in fact you can be reaping some extraordinary value from some of this if you had the right business case for doing this. And what is the business case? And as Michael and I put it on our book, it's at least one of the business cases is to give high quality, affordable rides to people who otherwise don't have a high quality, affordable alternative. If you already have a high quality, affordable alternative, you're good. But if your high quality, affordable alternative is to walk it a substantial distance, well, then, I guess it's good exercise. We can justify it. But if you can't justify it that way, then, maybe one can create an alternative for those folks. And that's basically been our purpose. So that was one of the comments. There are other comments in which, it looked like the people that were given the rides and the people that created the videos were basically setting it up. It's almost trivial to have anything fail. Almost trivial. It's really tough to have things succeed. But geez, good. You pointed out a shortcoming. Great. Thank you for doing that. We'll either fix it or avoid it. We thank you very much. But that doesn't mean that you take that and extrapolate it to all the other good things that it does and say, hey, can't do those, why don't we find a way to, get the good out of this and avoid the bad? Now, if you're of the opinion there is no good that can be gained out of this, then okay, fine. There is no good. I guess in my mind, there is a lot of good that could be delivered to a substantial number of people by putting out there high quality, affordable mobility. Again, to those who don't, whose set of alternatives aren't there. It's not just as a phew, geez, I can not do a selfie, or it's now an amusement ride. This isn't it's an amusement ride. It's not very good. Go to Great Adventure and ride these. Those are good amusement rides.
Well,
This isn't an
we know
amusement
there are
ride.
real needs out there that
I think there are. Yes, yeah. I think there may be some people out there disagree. There aren't any. Everybody's just good. Everybody, geez, everybody can buy a car. Everybody can drive a car. Everybody go, okay. I don't know. It's not what I've seen. Luckily, for me, I walk to work. I like walking to work. I have a great walk to work. My wife used to walk me to work until, she got
busy.
roped into doing something else, but that's fine. That's a good thing that she's doing. But,
In addition to Reuters, you were also contacted by Business Insider for their report on Tesla and Austin.
yeah,
What happened there?
well, I put in the email exchange, the invite, and my response back. I, I don't want to be thrown under a bus. I mean, I'm not looking for, gotchas or whatever. If that's what you want, that's not what you're going to get from me. Okay, go to somebody else. There are plenty. We all know who they are. Okay. I guess I've been tagged as one who might actually, think that there might be something good in this thing, and therefore, oh my goodness, let's avoid him. Fine, they did. It's okay. I'm not offended. Well, sort of, but I'm really not.
From Teslarati once again, Ford CEO favors Waymo's LiDAR approach over Tesla's vision only self-driving. And this was from an interview with author Walter Isaacson.
Yeah, sure. I guess but what I didn't get is for what? What is Ford's business model here? What are they trying to accomplish? And it may very well be for what they are willing to accomplish, and I would assume for what they are willing to or are trying to accomplish, that Waymo has a better solution. Fantastic. Make it happen. Go out there in the marketplace and put that sucker out there. Do it. Why haven't you done it up to this point? I mean, some stories abound about, how, Ford and Waymo were supposed to get together almost 10 years ago and do this. And those accounts sort of suggest that, Ford flubbed that one. But, I don't know. You can interpret those accounts as however you wish to interpret them. And now I guess Ford, for whatever it is that they are trying to do or think they would like to do, think that Waymo is a better solution. Fantastic. Go for it. Do it. Put it out there. And then, the marketplace will will tell us, and, how successful you've been.
And I
One
think
can take another perspective that if you're trying to provide mobility and affordability is important, then one should be careful as to how much it costs you to do it, unless you're willing to make the contribution. And if Ford doesn't have a whole heck of a lot I mean, they do have a lot to contribute, but but if you look at their market valuation compared to others, they've got a ways to go these days. So Oh,
Well, Tesla has talked in the past about other automakers buying or using their technology. That hasn't happened yet. We haven't seen any.
that we haven't seen anybody do that. And I guess the other automakers say thanks, but no thanks, and and that's fine. I guess that's fine. Um, you know, with anything in business, there's a make or buy decision. You can either make it or you can buy it or buy it. You have two choices. There's almost only those two roads. You know, and a lot of folks are out there sort of making it. I think there's some other stories don't report on, that Uber has decided, they're not going to make it in driverless. They're going to buy it from Pony. Maybe we should add that one, but that's out there. Okay, who do you buy it from? Okay, go. Pony's not an automaker though, but whatever.
Right. You include a link to a company or service, I'm not sure here, called OBI,
Yeah.
that has pricing insights on Waymo, Uber, and Lyft.
Yeah, I think they're an entity that goes out there and has collected a lot of data and is reporting on it on as best that they can see on pricing and so on. And I just thought that they had a lot of interesting information that they've gleaned from their data. Again, let it, reader beware on any of these things. Um, yeah, take a look at it. It's a sense another data point, but it is seems to be well done. And again, another piece of fundamental information on this, which is still evolving. The sort of the headlines that people have taken out of this is that Waymo is able to charge more for its trips for that it's given than Uber and Lyft can charge for their trips. Um, I think that makes a lot of sense to me that they should be able to, and especially in places where Waymo appears as an option on an Uber platform. It would be, I want to say, I'm not sure that disconcerting is the right word here. If Uber offered up Waymo rides in competition to the various other ways Uber wants to give you a ride, whether it's sort of the whatever they call the basic Uber or the bigger car, more luxurious. I don't know if they call it whatever they call
Uber
that,
Black or something like
Uber Black or whatever they happen to call that. But they have a sort of a tiered offering. Okay. And they've appropriately, I would say, on a business case for Uber, chosen to put Waymo out there as a premium offering. And if that's the premium offering, you should be able to charge a premium price, which is what they're doing. It makes a lot of sense. And all of a sudden, if they were to offer Waymo as a at a bargain basement price as the lowest price option, I think Uber has a problem because all of a sudden one has that the driverless option is on their platform cheaper than the driven option. So therefore, some folks who drive for Uber is going to say, "My goodness, are you putting in some low price competition out here?" Uh, uh, otherwise somebody would have chosen us maybe instead of that thing. Whew. Um, I don't know. I don't know how Uber, you know, wiggles out of that difficulty. But all of a sudden, Uber's dependent on their drivers. They don't. they don't come to work for them, they don't show up for them, they've got a problem. And maybe they can say, hey, we're good, we're just going to use Waymo. Waymo is going to have a problem that, at least in the initial part, volumes, they're going to be capacity constrained. I don't know how you deal with that one, but again, that's beyond my pay grade. I'm just a backwater university professor, in some bubble and in the whatever of New Jersey, swamp of New Jersey.
I wouldn't quite call it that, but
Well, I don't know. I sort of like it. I mean, I enjoy it, but somebody else might look at it that way. I don't know. Some people's view of New Jersey from outside of New Jersey is not that appealing.
not that favorable, right?
Not that favorable.
You
Although,
have
hey,
you have a link to an upcoming online conference, the Bridging Transportation Researchers online conference. That's coming up next month, and you have a link here for it.
yeah, Professor Kara Kockelman at University of Texas works very hard to put that together, and it looks like it's a good place for exchanging of ideas in a very open forum that is certainly priced properly at zero to submit papers and zero to participate. So the price is certainly right, and I don't think anybody should look and say because that price is zero that's comparable to the value. The value is an enormous value proposition to the individual here. So at least my humble opinion on that.
And you have a link in the newsletter to sign up for it.
Yeah, it's for people for it. It comes up in August, and more people one gets to participate in that. Again, we're discussing here, okay, and this is all a discussion to try to understand what is really going on with this technology. Again, what Michael Senna and I put in our book, our view is that there are a significant number of people. We all like to talk about multimodal transportation and having transportation options. There are a lot of folks whose list of transportation options and getting from A to B to gain the value of going to B, because transportation, it's an intermediate good. It serves to create it to capture end good. The end good is getting to someplace and capturing the value for the by the individual of the value of being there at the time that they would like to be there. You go to a doctor's office to be there when the doctor's there to be able to help you with your health challenges. Go to the grocery store when it's open so that you can get some food and buy some food and bring it home. You go to school to learn at the time when teachers are there to help you. Okay. And then, of course, you got to get home. The thing that a lot of transportation professionals at times forget, it's not just getting there, it's getting home. So the actual decision to go or not to go has to do with how much value one's going to get out of getting there, discounted by how much hassle cost there is in getting there and getting home. And in fact, if you sort of look at people's behaviors, at times, the reason why they don't go to some place that they really wanted to go and should have gone and could have gone and gotten a lot of value out of was not just because it was tough to get there. They perceived it was going to be tough to get home. So therefore, what do they choose? They choose, if they do go, they choose ways not only to get there, but get them home. The real value of a car and being able to drive is not that it can get you there. This can get you home. And it's sitting there waiting for you to bring you home. When I was dealing with turn-by-turn navigation, People would thought that I was sort of crazy, saying the real value of turn-by-turn navigation is not getting you there, is that you'll be able to get home. That sucker will bring you home. So there's no longer the Hansel and Gretel. I've got to put the breadcrumbs out there so I can find my, the breadcrumbs disappeared. What do I do now? So that thing gets you home. Now, it may not be the thing that's out there in your frontal lobe telling you that that's what you're doing back here. But back here, that's why you do that. I don't know. What do I know? I don't know anything about how the brain operates, but I bet you. And it's often not, not really appreciated. Why do people, drive to Manhattan from Princeton as opposed to taking the train? Might be a train schedule. It gets you there just in time perfectly for the whatever you're going to. And it's, close to Midtown, it's perfect. It's because the getting home, there may not be a train there to get you home. So what the hell, might as well drive it. It's great. If you can afford it, if you have the car and do it. If you don't have that, man, you've been left behind by society. All the great improvements in the last 50 years, 75 years, whatever. And I don't know. Unfortunately, I've tripped over many folks who have been left behind. And I think, at least in terms of where we're coming from, we're trying to improve their lives. That's our focus. That's what I think this automation is good for.
Well, on that note, Alan, it will do it for this episode. You can always find us at smartdrivingcar.com. My tech reports are at techstination.com. Thank you for listening or watching. We do appreciate it, and stay safe.